Next is Mr. Renfrow. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I'm Gabe Renfrow. Grew up in southeastern Oklahoma, down around McAllister. I went to Northeastern State University, got a bachelor's degree there. I've been a nurse for 17 years. I got that degree at Baycone. Done cardiology all that time. I decided to do this about 6 years ago. Basically, after my daughter was born, I want to make sure that the state is run well and went for her. My son was born, 4 years after that. His name's Monroe. They're not here tonight because they're both at ball practice, so my wife isn't here, Jenny. We've been married for 11 years on Saturday. I'm very excited about that. Never thought I would have done that ever in my life, actually. But she is my daughter and my wife are the reason that I'm doing this, so that things are done well in the state. I appreciate each one of you being here. I've been to your doors multiple times. You're probably tired of seeing my face. And I hate cameras. But it's been real eye-opening for me as an Oklahoman, as an American, and it's just amazing the things that go into this. And I want to thank the members of this VFW for having this and your sacrifice to allow us to do this here. I don't need the rest of it.
Okay, finished?
Yes.
I noticed that you're a nurse and your wife's a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
That means she brings home the bigger paycheck, right?
Unless
Unless you work more hours.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have a niece that's a nurse practitioner. So, all right, Mr. Staires, you're up next. 2 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Clay Staires.
Staires.
There we
I'm
go.
sorry.
Yeah, Clay Staires. And let's see, I grew up in Avant, Oklahoma. Some of you may have heard of Shepherd's Fold Ranch before. My mom and dad, Don and Shirley Staires, started Shepherd's Fold Ranch back in 1972. So I got to grow up on a summer camp. I went to Avant Elementary and then to Skytook High School, and was born and raised here in Osage County, and lived here for a long, long time. After school in Skytook, I did go on to OU, Boomer, and had the great fortune of being able to play football with Barry Switzer back in the day, and which was a wonderful experience. And then after that, I did spend 15 years as a high school science teacher and coach, primarily up in Kansas City. After 15 years of coaching and teaching up in Kansas City, my wife Lisa and I moved back to Oklahoma to take over the leadership of Shepherd's Fold Ranch. And we were there for 10 years, from 2002 until 2012. In 2012, it was time for me to shift again. It was a huge shift from going from classroom teacher to running a nonprofit organization with about almost a $750,000 budget, and then moving into owning my own company. In 2012, we started the Leadership Initiative, which is a business consulting company, and now 10 years later, we're working with about 200 small, local, family-owned businesses all over the country, and helping them grow their businesses. And so I'm honored to be here tonight. Kathy, thank you for the invitation, you and the group with the Osage County GOP. Thank you very much. And you guys, again, just like everybody else, thank you for being here and being a part of the process. Very, very important. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Renfrow, do you have a paid consultant? And if so, what is his name? Their name?
Yes, I do. It's campaign. It's called CAMP. So, Camp Management Productions.
Can you give me the name of the person that runs it or assigned to you?
Brian Bayless.
Okay. And Mr. Staires?
You got it? Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right.
Clay
Yeah.
Staires. All right.
Yeah, I do have a campaign consultant. It's Holly Gerard with Ascend Action.
How would you work to keep state government as small as possible? And you say by decreasing policies
Over.
Private companies, and citizens. Can you explain that a little bit more?
So, the policies that run the state should be minimalistic over the businesses that we run, so that the revenue that those businesses make, there's not a lot of oversight over it.
Okay,
That's pretty much it.
okay.
Okay.
You're next.
Am I next? Okay, very good. Yeah, let's see, the question that you've asked is how would I work to keep the state government as small as possible?
Yes.
I think being a business owner for the past 10 years, I've found that it's always, if you want to be streamlined, to function at your best, you've got to be, number one, you have to be efficient, and number two, you have to be accountable. Without efficiency and accountability, all that will happen is things will expand, problems will expand, meetings will expand, spending will expand, and everything will expand except for revenues. And so efficiency and accountability. That's kind of the plaque that I want to carry around the Capitol with me is efficiency and accountability. Again, I need to get to the Capitol so I can find out where are the areas that need the efficiency. I'm not going to sit here and say everywhere needs efficiency, everywhere needs accountability, because I know there's probably some areas that are doing really well. So I want to get over to the Capitol, get the lay of the land, be a part of committees, soak in, learn a ton. I want to learn from Jay Dean and everything that you've been doing. Same thing with Sean. What has been done, so I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. But the two words for that, to keep government small, we have to continue to march to the beat of efficiency and accountability. Without that, things will just get out of order, get too big.
First up next, and the question is number 2, how would you work to keep taxes as low as possible?
Yeah, and again, I come back to the efficiency and accountability with our taxes, the way that money is being spent. Again, being a business owner, I know that, I guess a big difference, when I wasn't a business owner and I was an employee for 20 years, an employee, I remember it was just a matter of, I need more money, I need more money, I need more money. And that mantra never did stop. I needed more money, I needed more money. It wasn't until I became a business owner and a business leader that I realized, okay, I have to look at how the money is being spent. Chances are very good, and I did find out that the money really was right there in front of me. I just wasn't being efficient with the way that I was spending it. So I'm a huge proponent of no more taxes. We do not need to increase taxes, especially until we have like you were saying, an audit of what we are spending money on right now. We have got to have efficiency and accountability in our tax plan, or else, again, it just becomes more money, more money, more money. And unfortunately, that mindset, that philosophy, that ideology has really creeped into our government and even into our public. For instance, as a school teacher, I remember being a school teacher and just going, we need more money. But I didn't realize that the idea really was, no, we've got to be more efficient. So before we talk about tax hikes, before we talk about getting more revenue than we already have in our rainy day fund, the first thing is, how are we spending the money that we're spending? I think you guys have all seen what's going on right now with the audits, with the State Department of Education. I was at a meeting with Cindy Bird the other day, and she was just talking about how that's going, and she was saying, we have just almost completed the revenues, and we already have huge questions about what's going on with the revenues.
Okay. Mr. Renfrow, you're the final one on this question.
So it's hard.
What would you do to keep taxes as low as possible?
It's hard being the final person on this question because accountability to the agencies that are spending the funds is key, and making sure that the number of bills that are run at the state are proper for us. It doesn't make sense to run 3,000 pieces of legislation, every year, every time, and then not know where the money's going. But the accountability is key to that.
What is your first consideration before voting on a bill? Mr. Renfrow, 2 minutes.
So, is it right for the state? Is it right for the citizens? Is it right for the district? That's pretty much it.
Okay. Mr. Staires.
Yes, sir. I have 4 filters that every decision, as I'm reading a bill, before I'm making a decision, before I'm voting, I want to make sure that I have taken that bill, I've read it. Number 1, I've actually read the bill. And number 2, I want to take it through a filter. Number 1, is it constitutional? Just like Wayne said, is it constitutional? Does it follow? Does it stay within the boundaries of our Constitution? Another filter that I will have is it biblical? Does it follow biblical principles? Whether you're a believer or not, biblical principles work. And so let's keep them between the boundaries of biblical principles. Number 3, I know also, it's got to be simple. For humans to be able to digest it and actually work toward it in a sustainable manner, it's got to be simple. And then finally, number 4, does it make sense? Unfortunately, there's just so many decisions that seem to be made that you guys can probably know what I'm talking about, where you're just going, that doesn't make sense. What's going on? So those would be the initial filters that I would want to go through with every bill before I vote. I want to read it, and I want to take it through those filters to make sure that it fits into one of those categories.
Okay, Mr. Burge.
Well, the first pro is that not every kid is a square peg that needs to be shoved in a square hole. Each child learns at a different rate in a different way. I believe that you should be able to tailor your child's education the way that you want, whether that is a at-home school or a private school, a Christian school, a public school. It doesn't matter. I also believe that it is the parent's choice to tailor that. That I grew up probably needing a little more close education than I received that I had to figure out on my own. I think it's a good idea to do that. The con would be that, yes, it does take money away from public schools, but do those public schools need to be getting that money for children that they're not actually educating?
Okay. So I didn't write these. These were written by members of the Osage County, members of the party here. And so I'm going to add one thing for all of you on this. Do you believe that state revenues should follow the student through the parent?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Mr. Staires.
Yes, sir.
Same question to you. What do you feel the pros and cons are of vouchers?
Okay, man, this is a very hot question right now and very difficult answer because on the one hand, if we don't do something to change what we're doing in education, then we're going to keep getting the outcomes that we have. And our ranking in education is not good. And the quality of education that our children is getting is not the highest. It's not what we want from our children. So something has to change. And I think number one, the pros of the voucher, again, the way the voucher bill was written, this latest one, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of that program. I want to be very clear on that. But the idea of, I think that a type of voucher, if I can say that without being a proponent of the voucher program that just, the voucher bill that just came through, but a type of voucher is important, number one, because what it does is it creates competition. And competition in our society here in America is a good thing. And unfortunately, so many of our state-run educational systems don't have competition, and therefore there's no accountability. Therefore there's no push for production, and it's just be busy. And so that's one pro, is that it creates competition. Another pro that I see is it keeps the parents from having to pay twice for education. Their taxes are going toward education. Do they have to pay twice? That's something I'd like to have a conversation about. And then the cons of it is, again, with the system that we've had in place for so long, it's gonna be changed. And that's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard, and it's gonna take strong leadership that is familiar with leading through change.
Okay. Number 6, what would you do to control the federal government overreach on issues including pandemic mandates, our right to bear arms, abortion restrictions, and illegal immigrants sent to our state? Now, we're not talking about the ones that Governor Stitt invited to our state.
Yeah.
Mr. Renfrow.
It's hard not to agree with that. We just need to continue to run legislation to make sure that the 10th Amendment is invoked in every situation where there's federal overreach.
Okay.
That's,
Is that it?
yes, sir.
Mr. Staires.
Yeah, I think, not to disagree with anything that anyone has said, we just need men and women at the Capitol that will be willing to stand, that will be willing to stick their neck out and be willing to stand and lead, and not sit back and allow things to happen. So, Constitution, follow the Constitution, stand for the Constitution. Oh, but it might not get me what I need, it might not get me the vote, it might not let my bill be heard or something. We've got to stand for these things, just like Wayne was saying. We've got to stand. And it begins with the representative that you choose. Choose a man that can go to the Capitol and stand. I'm willing to do that for you. I'm willing to stand. One of the greatest compliments that I got, I still got time, yeah, man, I got the flag. Yeah, one of the greatest compliments I got was from Sean Copeland, who owns Regent Bank in Tulsa. He said, Clay, I really like you as a candidate because you don't need this job. And so I want to go over and stand for what is right. I want to go over and stand for our Oklahoma values because I don't need the job.
Next one, number 7. Regarding the donors to your campaign today, how many of them are considered PACs? How many are based outside the district? And who are the top 3 donors' names and what amounts did they give?
So I have no PACs that have contributed to my campaign. All my donors are individuals that have given me individually. I would say about 40% of them are outside of the district, but primarily it's individuals that believe in my candidacy. But first of all, I've not taken any money from any PACs, period. Let me say this. So whenever a PAC gives you money, you are obligated, not obligated, but who brings you to the dance, you're obligated to dance with. So they're going to have a lot of influence over you. So I would just say that PAC money can be very influential in politics, and it can be very dangerous. So I've chosen not to take any.
All right. Let's see. Next is
Yeah.
Mr. Renfrow.
So I've received money from 4 PACs. 3 of those are from legislators that are currently in the House. The majority of my money comes outside of the district, just because I've gotten the majority of my money from friends and families that don't live in the district. The top 3 donors, I have a buddy, his name's Sean Larkin. He and his wife gave me a full check. My best friend is Chris Kennedy. He gave me a full
That's
check.
5,900.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so you guys know him as Sticks. So I'm good friends with
2,900,
Sticks.
I think.
No, it's a husband.
Okay, husband.
Yeah. And then I got money from Marathon PAC. I got a $5,000 check.
Is that Marathon Oil?
No,
Okay. So
no,
it's
just a PAC.
okay. All right.
Conservative PAC.
And I don't think we got who your top 3
Yes,
were.
yeah, I apologize. It was Greg Weiner, and he gave me $1,000. And then I had Bill Parks, who gave me $500, and then someone gave me $700. Oh, Bud Beeston gave me $700. Oh, and I also Sherry Hamilton, they gave me $1,000 also.
So you gave us top 4.
Yes, sir. I
And
did.
then I don't think we got this from you either, did we?
Mike hadn't talked yet.
Huh?
Mike hadn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I got it. I've got you here. Thank you. Help keep me straight here. Okay.
I'm here
and
for you.
what? All right. So you're next then.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Like Wayne, I have not taken any money from any PACs. All of my money has come from close friends and family members. About 25% of the donations that I've received have come from outside of our district. And let's see, probably my biggest donor has been the Osage Nation at $2,900. Robin Smith gave $2,500, and I've had a number of $1,000 givers.
Okay. All right, and then Mr. Bird, you're the final one on this one. Here.
I have taken no money from PACs. Only one person that's donated to me has been outside the district, and the top 3 donors right now are Mark Wentz, and he's the one that said he gave me $1,500. He's the one that's outside the district. Mary Eubanks, $1,000, and Monty Box, $500.
Okay. How many of you gentlemen know who Jason Murphy is? Former state representative Murphy. He's the one that really got. He's the one that really got it started, as far as not taking any money from a special interest PAC or a principal of a special interest PAC that hired a lobbyist, and that he would take the contribution from a general interest PAC. We didn't really have any one particular agenda, which is OPAC. So he did take money from them. He's helping the candidate right now. Won't take any money at all from PAC. We'll take her endorsement, but no money at all. So that's just something to consider. And boy, I sure wish we had control over people we gave to, but we've never tried to exercise that. But we do build relationships with them. So, okay.
So how does a guy go about getting some money from OPAC?
Well,
Pardon me, I forgot you guys were here. First of all, like me, you got a
here's how it
guy
works.
like you.
Here's how it works. Because you have them. The question is, prior to running for District 66 State Representative, what have you done as a volunteer or elected official to protect or expand the rights of citizens in Oklahoma? Please name the organizations, the years served, and what you have accomplished.
So the only thing that I've actually helped with is a few legislators run their candidacies. I've never done anything outside of that.
Well, now you've listed here.
No,
Oh, you've
no,
listed.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
There you go.
All right, Mr. Staires.
Yes, sir. As far as the question being asked here, what have I done to as an elected official to protect or expand the rights of citizens?
As a volunteer or elected official.
Mhm. Yeah, so I would. I was on the Avant School Board for 3 years,
Okay.
and in that
Service.
exactly.
You weren't paid anything.
Was not paid a thing, yes. And so during that time, Avant was in very difficult situation. We were able to work with our superintendent at that time and put together a budget that would be sustainable, that involved a lot of cuts. It was very unfortunate, very difficult, but we had to have those cuts in so the budget could be sustainable. We had that thing worked out to 4 years into the future. We were going to have to make these cuts this year, these cuts this next year, and so on. And but it put Avant, a shrinking school district, it put Avant into a position where they could actually function into the future. And so I was very proud of that effort and had a good time doing that.
And that's your major volunteer?
That would be my major
Okay.
volunteer to do the expanding the rights of citizens in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yes.
All
A
right.
lot of other volunteer experience, a lot of other leadership experience,
Yeah.
but not necessarily.
Number 9, what process and procedures would you propose to help ensure that every legal vote and no illegal vote is counted?
What processes, procedures would you propose to help ensure that every legal vote and no illegal vote is counted? Well, first of all, I think that we want to keep our voter verification laws in place here in Oklahoma. Going to vote, we have to have a voter verification card, or you have to have a photo ID when you go to vote. We need to keep that in place and not allow any more infringement and not allow any more. We have those or, and have a whole list of different things that you could bring. So that would be number one. Also, I think it's very important to Wayne's comment just a moment ago. We have got to do an audit on our voter registration list. I'm thinking, we can put a man, as my dad would say, we could put a man on the moon. We should be able to audit our voter list so that we don't have so many people that have deceased, that have moved. I don't know about you guys, but when we're going to knock on doors, it's like, okay, who lives here now? And I know that the list that we are getting is coming from voter lists. So this should not be that difficult for us to do that. So that would be something that I would want to look at. It seems like it'd be simple. I want to look at that and be able to take care of that problem. So we could update those lists so when people move, when people pass, that those things would be updated on our list. Those would be huge for us right now. So keep the laws that we have in place right now, follow them, and stand for them. And number two, let's do some auditing on our list that we have. And finally, number three, don't buy any machines from China. Stay away. Stay away from those China machines or any machines that can be hacked. Using that wireless stuff, don't even do it.
Okay.
We already started doing that in Osage County. We've partnered with Oklahoma Liberty Watch. They've already started canvassing Osage County. We have found people that said they voted in person, but they, on the list, it says they sent in a paper ballot. So there's, pardon? Absentee ballot, yes. So they're not accurate. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. What I am saying, it sets up the opportunity for fraud. We cannot even have an opportunity for fraud. It must be cleaned up. We've already started working on it in Osage County.
Gabe, same question for you, sir.
Same answer.
No.
We literally, being the fourth guy up here sucks. Auditing the voter rolls, like they said, we've all probably been to the house that's not there. Everybody up here. It's literally an app. We look at it. All of a sudden, you pull up the house. There's 5 names at that house. There's nobody that lives there. The house has probably been gone for 4 years. So auditing each county, so Tulsa County and Osage County and the district, is key to make sure that those rolls are clean. But yeah.
Top issues that have arisen as a result of State Question 788, legalizing medical marijuana, and how would you address them? You're next, sir.
So it's hard not to agree with Wayne, because we do need to untie the law enforcement's hands to allow them to do their job. But we also need to allow the businesses that are legal to do their business. We also need to make sure that the product that those people are producing is right. So we need to increase the testing of the product to make sure that it's going to the patients that there are no heavy metals in that product. And that just takes legislation. So.
Okay, Mr. Staires.
Yes, I would say there's 4 primary big issues that have come up. First one has already been mentioned, is that when the bill was passed, we were way behind the game when this bill got passed. And it took off really quickly, and we were behind with regulation. We were behind with boundaries around that. So, as Mike was saying, we are playing catch up, and we've got to catch up fast. There's a lot of things that need to be done in a short amount of time. I think there were some 90 different bills that were addressed over this last session, something like that, around this issue, because we're just behind trying to get. So that's one thing. We've got to get in front of this. Number 2, again, back to Wayne's point, is land. So much land is being bought up by foreign investors now. And coming into Oklahoma and offering people the amount of money that they are offering, you can't say no to this. And so I am very much a fan of coming in and regulating who can own this land here in Oklahoma. Number 3 is, again, the crime issue that has increased, and it's putting more pressure on an already overwhelmed law enforcement. We don't have the number of people to be able to regulate, to be able to inspect all of the different grow houses. This is an issue. We're behind the game on this. And then finally, one that hasn't been mentioned yet is the number of workers that are being pulled out of the workforce. And now the family-owned business here in Skytook, Sperry, and Sand Springs You can't compete with what they're getting paid to work at a grow house. You can't compete with it, and it's all cash and there's no taxes. And so you just cannot compete. And so right now there are so many of our small businesses here in the state that are hurting greatly for employees, but they can't find employees because they can't compete with the grow houses.
What gun or other legislation would you propose to protect students in our public schools? Okay.
Yeah, so you have to agree. You have to have single points of entry. There needs to be an armed trained police officer, guard, whatever you want to call it, closed caption television to whatever is the closest law enforcement facility on each hallway and each entry point, so that you can have real time on what's happening in any situation. And then automatic lockdown doors that that make each room a safe room.
Okay. Mr. Staires.
Yeah, man, again, this is something. What's in the heart of a man or woman, I should say, but what's in the heart of God's creation, what we are capable of. And so first of all, I think before anything, the cause of this, let's pray. Let's pray. Lord, we need you more and more and more. We need you because what's in the heart of a man. Number two, I would definitely think that we need to spend time looking at making mental health more of a concern, putting more programs together, looking at the programs that we have. Are they efficient? Are they being accountable? Because we do find out that each of these people that are involved, obviously there's some mental health issues going on. And how is that not caught? How is that, or was it caught but not addressed in those systems, and giving law enforcement the ability to address issues? Man, what a tight issue when you see, for those law enforcement people that are in the room, you see things, but nothing's happened yet. So you can't really, arrest somebody because you saw something that hadn't happened yet. But then also, I agree with the training for teachers. Once we've kind of dealt with this, now we can actually come to the front lines, train teachers, give them good, proper, adequate training, and prepare them, give them the tools that they need, prepare the schools for what they need. But man, if it is in your heart to do evil, you will find a way to do it. So Lord, help us. Lord, help us.
Closing statement, and I'm trying to think. I believe we need to start with Gabe here on this one. And I apologize. Gabe is easier to remember than Renfrow, but Renfrow's not hard.
No, it's really bad for my patients that are hard of hearing when I'm at the hospital, because I end up being Nurse Dave. So that's always fun. I love this question. Why should we vote for you? It's a very hard question to answer, because I'm sitting up here with probably the three hardest candidates to run against. These gentlemen have backgrounds that I only wish I had, that I'm trying to start to do. And this is my big step into the middle of trying to start to build that resume to be like these men that I'm sitting next to. The only thing that I can tell you is that when I get there, I will literally work as hard as I possibly can and lean on these gentlemen, people like J.D., the members in the district, the people of Osage County and Tulsa County, so that I can get the job done that needs to be done at the state level. And I'm a short, sweet kind of guy. I'm not going to talk a lot. It's just the way I'm built. I got a minute out.
Can I have your minute?
Yes.
Divvy it up amongst yourselves,
but
Don't you do it.
don't you do it? No, do it. But I really appreciate everybody's time. It's been a huge step for me to do this, and I feel privileged to stand up here and sit up here with these guys.
Mr. Staires, you're next. 2 minutes.
Yes.
Voting statement.
I want to echo that. Thank you guys so much for being here. You've been sitting here for an hour and a half listening to us talk and everything. Thank you very much for being part of this process. I think as you found tonight, the answers that we have for these questions, they're all pretty much Republican, conservative answers. So it kind of comes down to what sets us apart. And I agree with Gabe. I've gotten to know these guys. I like these guys. They're wonderful men. One of the things that I feel that sets me apart is my level of leadership over the last 30 years. Having not only having one business, but having multiple businesses, being a business leader that has multiple employees as well, not just owning a job, but owning a business that has employees, having to make those hard decisions with budgets, with cutting salaries and things like that. These are decisions that are going to have to be made over in the Capitol, and I've been in those seats. I've been sitting across the table from people and having to tell them what we're going to do with your job moving forward. I know the shift, J.D., you probably think back on this, but your shift from where you were and then you went to the Capitol. And it's like, whoa, having to learn this whole new thing. You guys, I've done that shift 4 different times now in my life. I'm comfortable with shifting and redefining while at the same time holding on to my foundational principles of who I am. So I'm looking forward to going to the Capitol. I'm not concerned with being able to go over and not know what to do. I will figure it out. I will learn. I will lead, just like I have done throughout the last 30 years. And finally, just my experience with owning businesses, also coaching hundreds of businesses, as well as running ministry, as well as being a classroom educator, a classroom teacher. These are unique experiences that I've had and skills that I've had moving forward.
Sir,